Right. Hello, everyone. Um, uh, I can start by introducing the e-board. So I'm the president of PRSSA, and I'll pass it to my vice president first.
My name is John Fichter. I'm the vice president of PRSSA.
Hi, I'm Sonia Kordovich, and I am the secretary, junior public relations manager.
So we do have an attendance form that I will drop in the chat. And then if you have any questions, throughout, drop them in the chat as well, and Tina can answer them as we go along. All right, I'm going to pass it to our speaker, Tina Cooper.
Hi, everyone. So absolutely, it's really important to me if we do have any students that if for any reason you're not public relations major, you're something similar or something completely different from public relations. I know sometimes we have that happen. I'm happy to answer any questions or tailor my answers and presentation to your majors. Right off the bat, and I can see all of you right now, does anyone not a PR major that's a student in here? Okay.
Yes.
I did tailor it towards PR for discussion, but all right. So what I'm gonna do, and Kayla, I don't know if it would be easier. I am able to share. Okay, you have that enabled where I can share my screen. Excellent. So I will do that. We'll get started here. Okay. You're about to all see yourselves again because they're on my screen. There we go. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. Okay. So for those of you who haven't met me before, I believe actually I'm meeting all of you for the first time except for Professor Stab. I'm the internship coordinator at SUNY Oswego. My job at SUNY Oswego is to work specifically day in and day out with internships. I really enjoy it. I've had a lot of fun being the internship coordinator for SUNY Oswego for as long as I have been. I am a 2015 alumna of SUNY Oswego biochemistry program. I know it's a little bit different than PR for sure, but I do have a love for communication, media, and the arts school. I work very closely with a lot of your faculty, students, and deans. So if you do have anything that you'd like to see happen for your internship programs at any point in time, please always feel free to reach out to me if you ever have questions. So getting started here, what do I do? What do I do at SUNY Oswego? Why do you care that Tina Cooper is your internship coordinator? So essentially, my job at our school is to make sure that all of you have access to quality internship programs. I develop new internship programs. I'm constantly working with students and your faculty to figure out what we can help you do for internships that's going to help you progress towards your degree. A lot of you want your junior senior status and are trying to find upper division elective credits a lot of times, and also want to get some field experience before you leave SUNY Oswego. I work with the sites that host interns, the employers that host interns directly. I liaison with the sites and career services and faculty. My job is a big mumble jumbo of everything having to do with internships and the logistics it takes to get them in place. Essentially, I also work with students sometimes if they have an internship in mind that they'd like to do, but they have no idea how to obtain that internship or how to create it with an organization. Sometimes there'll be a student that comes to me and says, hey, I have this organization in mind or the specific type of internship. Have you ever seen something like this before? Is this something that I could end up doing? Do you have anybody in mind that we might be able to connect with and make an opportunity like this exist? Which happens more often than you would think. I always tell students, for me, I actually reached out to 2 organizations for my 2 internships when I was at Oswego and actually created them myself. So I wasn't seeing anything that I liked, so I really wanted to make something new that made sense for what I wanted to get into. So I also manage our on-campus internship program, which I will talk a little bit about and how PR students do take advantage of that. We have a lot of opportunities on campus for our PR students to get involved. So, and this is, I'm a very participatory person when I present, so I do hope that as I'm talking to you guys, as I'm asking questions, that either chat or you'll unmute yourselves to maybe have a little bit of a discussion around some of these things. So what I want to know from you is, what do you know about internships? Someone tell me what you feel like the word internship means. Anyone? Yeah,
To me, it's
John.
like any opportunity you get to get real world, like hands-on experience in the field you want to go into.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else want to add to that? What's the first thing that
I was
pops into
gonna
your
say
head
the
when you think
exact
of
same
internship?
thing.
Okay, absolutely. And furthermore, field experience. Okay, why do you want an internship? Is it because everyone just constantly uses the word internship and you think, I need one of those because everyone keeps talking about it? Why do you personally want an internship?
For me personally, I think they're so valuable to what, like, for us PR practitioners, it'll help us really understand what we're doing. Like, we learn about it for 4 years, but until you do it, you're not going to understand what goes into your day-to-day tasks and how you can become better at it. I did an internship at the end of my freshman year, and I learned, it wasn't for PR, but I learned so much that will help me in PR later down the line. Like, it gives you so many skills and experiences that will help you just become a better professional no matter where you go.
Yeah, and a lot of times too in PR, because it's such a versatile field, and there are a lot of interdisciplinary internships that occur a lot of times, and I'll talk about some of the different types that you might see as PR students. But overall, it can also tell students what they don't want to end up doing. It's not just about, you might have a goal, you might know exactly what you want to do after college. Well, I thought I did too. Again, I told you that my degree was biochemistry. So a lot of times I'm talking to students about how experiential learning, because internship is a type of experiential learning, that really brought me to the path that I'm in now. I did internships in STEM. I worked in the nuclear power field. I worked in specialty pharmacy after college, and I got back into working with higher education because as an undergraduate student, I had worked with the Career Services Office as a student for 3 years, and it ended up being first and foremost a pseudo internship for me. Did I know that at the time? No, it was a part-time job actually. But learning through the different jobs, through the different internships, the different volunteer experiences that you're taking part in, shadowing, all of those different experiences throughout college can drastically change what a student ends up doing post-college career. There are many students now that will leave college and end up in a completely different field or working for a company per se that has nothing to do with what they might have thought of as the traditional position for their major in college. For example, a lot of public relations majors, as you guys know, PR exists in every type of company. It's not just you go and you work for a PR firm and once you graduate from a PR undergraduate program. There are a lot of ways to get involved in any industry because they all need public relations. So keep that in mind as we go through this conversation. So I will go over a couple different pieces tonight, which are, I will talk about accredited internships, but I also want to talk about the internship as a whole, how to get the internship, how to be competitive in getting those internships. But I will kind of tier this in a way that we can talk about how you can get internships in general, and then how you might also be able to utilize those towards your degree progression. So just to give you a brief overview, at SUNY Oswego, we have what's called the Internship and Co-op program, which means we have the ability for students to get upper division class credit towards their internships. Internships can be paid or unpaid. There are a lot of criteria that go into those. Part-time or full-time internships, students can take them any term, whether that be winter, summer, fall, or spring. Different things go into play with the time commitments of those things based on semester and term. Everything is counted as a 498 credit. So in your degree works, as you're looking for electives that count for upper division, either 300 or 400 level, these are all 400 level as an undergraduate student. Many of the public relations students are earning either a COM 498 or what's called a GST, which is General Studies 498, if you do determine that you'd like to earn internship credit. Co-op program also exists. We have seen some students in the past do public relations co-ops, where we've seen students go and essentially get hired full-time for a period of anywhere between 12 to 26 weeks. They get paid full-time as if they are a temporary full-time employee of an organization. They maintain their full-time student status with Oswego, but aren't taking classes during that time. And we actually have our associate director that students will work with and kind of plan out their other classes with their advisor as well to make sure that they're still graduating in 4 years. So we have a lot of cool programs at SUNY Oswego that I think students wait until junior, senior year to find out about. So if you are an upperclassman and you have a lot of underclassmen friends, think about this. Try to spread the word as much as possible. We really like to talk to students freshman, sophomore year to make sure that they understand that these programs exist. So again, I'm going to tier this a little bit. These are for the 4-credit internships. We do have a structure for these. Mostly today we're covering for internships, getting it locked down, actually searching and applying for internships. And then if you do eventually want to use them for credit, go ahead and get approval with the school for that. So there are steps that go past that if you are looking to do a accredited internship. If you have questions about the full scope of what it takes to take a 4-credit internship, please reach out to me. Again, I really do want to focus on the types of internships that exist and how to be competitive in getting those this evening. So planning ahead, regardless if you're going to do a 4-credit or not 4-credit internship, you do want to be talking to the people that are constantly in their life throughout your college career, with your advisor, the Excel office, which is where the internship program is hosted. I am part of the Excel office, which stands for Experiential Courses and Engaged Learning. Hence why we call it Excel. It is a little bit lengthy. It's much easier to tell students that we are in the Excel office. It is abbreviated. So you want to think about, a lot of times with internships, are you eligible to be completing them? If you do choose to do a 4-credit internship with SUNY Oswego, you do have to be junior, senior status, have a minimum of a 2.5 GPA. If you are a transfer student, you do have to complete a semester with SUNY Oswego before doing accredited internship, because you have to have a GPA, a SUNY Oswego GPA. Departmental requirements. In public relations, you don't have any additional public relations requirements. Does anybody know, can anyone tell me in your department who your faculty internship coordinator is? Mega points if you can.
I want to say if it's Jeff Bradbury.
It is, yes. So Professor Bradbury and I work very closely together when it comes to internships. There is another person who is not the designated faculty sponsor, but is a very common faculty sponsor a lot of times with public relations students. Anyone tell me who that is?
Stab.
So Professor Stab has been a faculty sponsor. He actually more commonly has been a site supervisor for internships through the communications department. Who else might I be thinking of?
I said Lindsay McCluskey.
Lindsay McCluskey, yes. So did you write that in the chat, Sonia? Or did you say that?
Oh, no, I said it. I didn't see it in the chat.
Let me fix it. Yes, so yes, Lindsay McCluskey is very common. If for any reason, sometimes students will just prefer to work with her. They might have a really close relationship with her, and then Jeff will kind of give the okay for that to occur, because he is the designated faculty sponsor. So keep in mind that we do have options for you if you have a very close relationship with a faculty. We're not trying to set you up for failure. If you have a great relationship, we want to emphasize that and utilize that. And a lot of times Professor Bradbury is on board with that. Planning and timeline, make sure if you are thinking about doing an internship, and this goes for non-credited as well, a lot of sites have timelines for their internship programs. With public relations people are generally very good at getting information out. So a lot of times they will be searching for their interns a semester ahead of time, sometimes 2, sometimes even the summer before. So sometimes I've seen companies in summer of 2020 right now, just past us, searching for their interns for summer 2021. It's rare that it's that far out. However, right now we are starting to see the spring internships coming available. So if you are thinking about doing an internship, right now is the time to apply. If you are thinking about doing academic credit for that internship, now is the time to be contacting Excel over the course of this next month, because you are able to register for internship in November, just like you are able to register for spring classes in November. Questions about that, anyone? So obviously first you want to figure out what internships are out there. What makes sense for you to be doing. Are you going to be doing an on-campus internship, off-campus internship, in person? In 2020, are you going to be in this crazy year that we're having, virtual internship, hybrid internship, where maybe sometimes you're on site, but they try to minimize how much you're on site? You might be working with a company that only keeps 50% of their employees on site at any point in time, and they might have that same structure for interns. It's really important to be considering the different modes because some students do better in different situations. So really be considering when you're searching for internships. Some sites are very good about making sure that those things are obvious when you're looking at internships, and others not so much. So topic areas that we've seen with public relations students, we've seen public relations students do a lot of different general public relations, multifaceted internships where everything that's listed in my topic areas below that is included. We've seen a lot of event planning internships. A lot of public relations students in the past year, I'd say, have come to me specifically to talk about event planning, and it's becoming a more common thing. And especially right now, virtual event planning is a very common internship I'm seeing kind of pop up all over the place. People are starting to think about the longevity of not just events during the time of COVID, but events during a time where it might be much easier, say, if I'm having a wedding and it's, I live in Alaska and the rest of my family is from upstate New York. Maybe making it easier to have, again, a combined in-person as well as virtual event going on, and how do we engage those different people? And it's a very interesting field that I think is growing. Social media. How many times have you seen social media intern pop up across your either Indeed search or your Handshake search or whatever it is that you've been using for? It's just a very common internship. Has anyone done a social media internship? Raise your hand.
I did one last semester.
Okay. Has anyone hosted as a site supervisor for a social media internship? That's Joe Stab. He's definitely a site supervisor for that. Hi. So essentially, some of the things that we've seen, and I do want to talk about some of the sites. Yes, I am talking to you. Hi.
I said I'm not anymore.
I know, but you have. You have in the past quite a few times.
Yes.
So on campus, so Joe is actually one of our on-campus supervisors. We have quite a few public relations students. A majority of our internships with PR students that do them that we have on record. And I just want to clarify, I have access to see all of the internships that students are doing for credit. I don't have a way of knowing what internships our students are doing if they're not credited because they're not through the school. So I have no way of knowing unless a student tells me, hey, I did a paid internship somewhere. A lot of times we just don't have track of that because we don't have any way of keeping track if they're not going through the Excel office. So our office actually currently has a PR intern. She's actually not a PR major. She is a broadcasting and mass communication student, focusing in the realm of PR because she's very interested in it. We have Alumni and Development Office, Campus Life, Career Services, all of these offices. These are just a few of the offices on campus that actually host virtual or hybrid or in person, depending on what the student actually wants for their internship. And they range anywhere from the general PR to social media to, I've seen some more broad and have digital media editing, back-end writing. It really just kind of depends on what the student wants. Keep in mind, if you are thinking about doing an on-campus internship, our school is generally very good at tailoring an experience to what a student wants to see happen. For example, my intern, that is the internship program PR intern. I know it's very lengthy in name and it's kind of redundant because of the word intern. She is focusing on very specific areas that she wanted to focus on because it's her third internship that she's done. So we kind of tailored something to make it what she wanted to see happen. SUNY Oswego is first and foremost a school. So everything that we do on campus, we try to make sure all of our on-campus interns are earning credit because we want those positions filled by students who either want or need the credit because they're competitive and we only have so many spots. So keep that in mind as you are thinking about doing intern. Is anyone here? So I know a few of you said you're juniors. Sonia, I remember you saying that you're a junior. John, are you a junior?
I'm actually a senior.
Okay, but you still have, are you all graduating? Is anyone graduating in December? No, okay, so you still, I mean, get another internship in the spring, I'm just saying.
I'm trying to get a 12 credit internship in the spring.
12 credit internship, oh, okay.
Hey, if they have a 15, I'll take a 15.
So 15, you actually can't earn 15 credits of internship in one semester. The max you can earn is 12. Good point though, thank you for saying that because it brought me to a very common question. Let's see here. Let's talk about some of these off-campus ones. Off-campus, I see a majority of our off-campus internships as internships that students make themselves. I will tell you that your advisor was responsible for setting up our SUNY Center for Professional Development internship. That's a recurring one now. Off campus just this fall, we have 3 students that are doing public relations internships that are actually PR majors. I only pulled the ones that were specifically PR major. One of them is very obvious to a certain student that is in our group right now. But yes, we are constantly looking for experiences. And just like I said before, you might look at some of these off-campus companies, like Step One Creative, automatically you think to yourself, that probably has something to do with digital media and design. If you look at somewhere like Babcock Highway Supply, you're probably thinking to yourself, what the heck is that student doing? But I will tell you, that student gets paid $12 an hour to go do that internship. So it's very interesting to see the different types of internships and remember, so for example, America's Charities, that's actually a brand new internship that's being just started this semester and will continue on with an alum. And she is the executive director of marketing for that organization. So it kind of depends on the site, but we have alum that are involved in these sites. We have friends of alum. We have parents of current students. One thing you should know is you cannot intern for your own parent. Just keep that in mind, but there are a lot of different ways to get connected. We have a lot of times, has anyone heard of the ASK program? Just curious before I get to one of my next slides. I was just kind of curious about that. I'll bring Kayla. All right. So Kayla, I might call on you in a little bit to share what that is from your perspective as a student as well. Keep in mind too, if for any reason any of you are considering graduate programs, I have known some students to continue on after PR undergrad to MBA track sometimes at SUNY Oswego, which I find interesting. We do have graduate level internships as well, or strategic communication MA at SUNY Oswego. Quite a few different options for our graduate students. So how do you as a student stand out? Are any of you in the process right now of finding an internship and maybe you've been applying and are just not hearing back?
I'm generally just looking right now.
Yeah. So John, tell me a little bit about what's on your resume.
So the summer after my freshman year, I did like an unofficial off-campus internship. It was more of a shadow, I guess. I was pretty raw as like a soon-to-be sophomore. I sat with the public information officer of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office in Rochester, New York. That was pretty good. I learned a lot about it. learned a lot about the industry working there because I was like in the building next to the jail every day, just going over like news releases and stuff like that with her. I also
that sounds like a pretty cool internship.
Yeah, it was really cool. I got to tour the jail a couple times. I recommend it. It was fun. And I also interned with the Comm Studies office.
Okay.
The professor staff.
Who was your supervisor for that? Okay, there you go. I was gonna say, John, your name looked really familiar. Like I recently, within the past couple of years, approved your internship, maybe. So,
yeah.
A lot of times, our employers. So what John just said is the biggest thing that I wanted to hear, which was on his resume, he has previous internship experience, that's related. From that experience, employers want to see these 8 pieces. Who has seen these career competencies before? That's what they're called. Has anyone seen these different concepts plastered in front of their face before in a presentation? No? I'm a little bit surprised at that. The reason I say that is because these are the 8 competencies that we work on constantly with students that relate back to something called NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, which is an organization responsible for shelling out best practices for employers and institutions to be connecting with one another, helping students understand employability and what employers care about. So with these 8 competencies, what we're finding a lot of times, the top 3 that employers are having a really tough time with something called a skills gap. Essentially what a skills gap is you say, I'm Tina Cooper and I think I am excellent at teamwork and collaboration. And my internship supervisor tells me, not even me, maybe evaluates me to the school and says, you know, Tina's really not that great at teamwork and collaboration. That's a skills gap because I think I'm great at it, but my internship supervisor thinks I suck at it. So how do we close that skills gap? Career competencies are huge right now in a lot of what schools are looking at in developing new curriculum. They're trying to incorporate career education as much as possible into different projects. This is actually how students are currently evaluated in internship. If any of you have done accredited internship, your site supervisor completes something called a skills survey. Joe, I know you've actually completed that before. It's lengthy, but there's a reason why it's lengthy. It essentially helps the student to understand where those skills gaps are and gets feedback from the employer on how they can alleviate those skills gaps so that when a student enters the workforce, they're aware of that and they can, again, in the time that they have left in their college career until they get into that entry-level job, what are they doing to help themselves be prepared? Being aware of these 8 areas and being aware of how you can grow yourself and be honest with yourself about where you're at with each of these is very important. The top 3 that are important to employers are critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, and teamwork collaboration. And these do change quite often. They sometimes even change how they title them. So keep that in mind as you're going through things. If you ever want to talk more about these career competencies, can I talk about them? Absolutely. But these I generally, we keep with career services because there are different ways that they work with students on skills gaps. And when who has not gone to career services to work on their resume before? Like ever? Okay. And I know there are a few people that don't have their video on, which is completely fine, but if for any reason any of you have not gone to career services before, which is the office that is next to me in the campus, I know I'm home right now, obviously, but normally next to me in the campus, they're excellent, and I highly recommend going to them and talking about these different career competencies because it is their realm to understand exactly how to market yourself on a resume to make sure that these are prominent and that you are standing out against other candidates, because I promise you there are many, okay? So when you're looking for internships, the things that I really want to talk to you about are the do's and don'ts, okay? These are common mistakes and common things that I see students doing that I think if you just are thinking about them in a logical way and preparing yourself, you really can get past them. So when you're looking at internships, remember mentorship. So are you searching for internships just because you know you need one on your resume, or are you searching for internships because you know that you want a mentor in a professional field and you are seeking specifically to find out how they can teach you the skill set that they've learned as a professional? A lot of times I see students doing canvassing for applying for internships and they're not really thinking about this aspect. So they do something which I always tell students not to do, which is bulk apply. The issue with bulk applying is that you could potentially end up in an internship or hear back very quickly from an internship that might not be a quality internship. Think about when you are applying to things and you're taking that resume and you're applying to 50 internships. If you're all of a sudden hearing back from 30 out of 50 and then 20 of them you're not hearing back from, but those 20 were the ones that you really wanted and might take a little bit longer to hear back from, what are you going to do? So a lot of times I've seen students kind of put themselves in a pegged position where they might get into an internship and then a week later find out or hear back from one of the ones they really wanted. And then they're kind of put in a situation where they don't want to hurt or make an employer upset and burn a bridge. Be very careful doing that. Be organized with your internship search. Make yourself a spreadsheet. There are a number of reasons why you should be organized with your internship search. I've worked with many students helping them to make these Excel sheets and should probably actually give you guys a template because that would probably be helpful in talking about how you're approaching them. Did you apply through a job search program? Did you contact someone directly because you knew them? When did you talk to them? Was it through phone? Was it through a voicemail that you had to leave? All of these things, who did you talk to? What was the name of the person that you talked to? All of these little tiny details add up in the end, and a lot of times are the make or break situation between you getting something you really want and developing a relationship with the person you could potentially be talking to at an organization, and just having a modge podge of applications that you put into Indeed.com and you can't even remember which ones you applied to. I've seen that happen a lot. Okay, so the other issue is bulk applying, especially if you're using an organization like Indeed.com. In public relations and media in general, there are a lot of organizations that I said before that they say I'm a computer technology organization and I need to hire public relations interns and public relations staff. I might not do that myself as the organization because public relations isn't really the expertise of my HR staff. They are generally used to hiring people in computer engineering per se. So I might hire a third-party recruiter. A third-party recruiter is going to look at Indeed.com and search your name. They're going to use all of the back-end tools that they have in their paid Indeed accounts. They're going to see the fact that this student applied for maybe 10 to 15 other jobs that I'm working with other employers as a third-party recruiter. There are a lot of ways for people to realize that you're just bulk applying. Also be careful bulk applying because it generally means that you're using the same resume for all of those different internships, and people are going to take notice of that. I know it's a lot of work, and I know it's very time-consuming, but try to match to the organizations that you are applying to, okay? There should be a reason, especially if you get to an interview stage, that you're telling them, I want to work for this company because, not, I want to work for this company because you were the first one to call me back. It's, I applied to this because I saw something either in this organization or this position that made sense to me. And they're going to want to see that you tried to match with them as an organization, whether it be their culture or just the specific different type of opportunity that brought you in. They're going to take note of that in your cover letter. They're going to take note of that in your resume and how you tried to actually be a fit for them. Okay. Those are the students that get the really competitive internships, the paid internships. Another thing you're going to want to do is prioritize. So if you are looking for internships, what are the things that are most important to you in getting out of that internship? Is it pay? Is it the mode of the internship? Is it you need something that's local to you? Is it you want to learn a very specific skill because it's important for a graduate program you're thinking about doing? There are a lot of things that you're going to want to prioritize and boxes you're going to want to check. There are very few opportunities out there that are going to check all your boxes. So make sure that you're prioritizing those boxes and that you understand exactly what you're getting out of the ones that you're applying to. Don't settle. Don't settle for an internship just because it was a last-ditch effort, all right? Say you apply to a whole bunch of them, and it kind of goes back to the bulk applying. Don't settle for something just because you heard back, okay? The reason I say that is because you might be in a situation sometimes where you're finding out about an internship that called you back the next day after you applied. And then you find out that that company also took on 50 other interns. And your internship is actually, you're going to meet with someone once a month to talk about your progress. And think about the internship, think about as you're talking with people from the organization, get a feel for it. I always tell everyone that not just interviewing for internships, but interviewing in general is like dating. It has to be a fit for you and them, not just them, okay? Does that mean that you're super picky and you say no to every internship that comes in front of you? Absolutely not. That's the complete opposite of what I mean by this. But you want to find that middle ground where it's a benefit to you and them, okay? Oh, don't forget communication is another big one. So communication, I don't necessarily mean with the employer. I mean, if you are looking into an organization for an internship, who do you know that might also know about that organization? Do you know any students that have done that internship? Have you talked to them to find out how they actually got in? For example, if I am an intern at Step 1 Creative and I know it was really hard to get because 10 students applied for it, but my friend got in. Are you talking to your friend to see X, Y, how did their interview go? What questions were they asked? make sure that you are prepared to have a conversation with that organization and utilize and exhaust all of your resources to make it competitive. I think I covered all of these other areas. Oh, the one other thing that they go hand in hand, thinking outside the box and being outgoing, which I'm just going to segue into my next slide here, because that goes right where I need it to. So where can you find these internships, these magical experiences that are quality, they check the boxes that you're prioritizing, you're excited about the organization, all the dues are in place in this situation. How are you finding those unicorn internships? We do have systems in place for you, but they're not the only systems there, but we will talk about those. So Handshake, who has a Handshake account? I do. I have a Handshake account. I have a lot of Handshake accounts. So Handshake is a good resource. That is a national database. There are international opportunities in it, but a national database that we work very closely with. I personally approve all of the internships in it that are within a 100-mile radius of SUNY Oswego. Again, we are seeing more and more virtual opportunities. Career Shift is, who does not have a Career Shift account? That is the one thing that I always tell students is really important to have. If you don't have a Career Shift account, it is a free account with your oswego.edu email. It is hosted through Career Services, okay? I push students to that constantly. The reason I push students to that is because if anyone's ever heard of Trivago for hotels, it's essentially Trivago for job and internships. Career Shift, very similarly to job search engines that pull in from multiple places. If you type in public relations internship into Career Shift, it's going to pull from company pages, it's going to pull from LinkedIn, it's going to pull from Indeed.com, Monster Job. It's going to pull from all of the sites and save you a ton of time because you don't have to go to all of the individual sites to get the one search page. It's a very highly underutilized resource that is amazing. I utilized it quite a bit when I was a student. It actually helped me find one of my first jobs out of college. LinkedIn. Who did know that LinkedIn has a jobs page? It's actually growing in popularity, yeah. Who knew that LinkedIn has an alumni tool? Oh, okay. So the alumni tool is really cool. Kayla, do you want to talk a little bit about have you used the alumni tool before?
I have done some research within it. I've never gotten any opportunities through it, but I have used it.
All right.
Tina,
have you ever direct messaged through it?
Yes, I
based
have.
off of your research? Okay. The reason I ask that is because the alumni tool is great, and I work with a lot of students to utilize the alumni tool, but then they kind of put this barrier up for themselves where they don't want to do the things that I mentioned before that segue to this, which are be outgoing and think outside the box. If I am a student and I go to Indeed.com and I type in public relations internship, and I'm on the first page, and I see public relations internship for a great company, and I click it and I apply and my resume goes into that. How many people do you think also apply to that? A lot did. Think about that when be logical in your internship searches, okay? If you're going to Indeed.com and it's the first page internship and it was really simple to apply, well, then it means that it was really simple to apply for a whole heck of a lot of people. The other thing that people don't realize is, especially with LinkedIn, is great because you're making a personal connection. First and foremost, people want a personal connection. I bet you would enjoy this presentation a lot more because you can see my face over in the corner of your screen and you can see that I'm a real person and I'm talking to you and I'm here to ask questions than if I just voice recorded over this presentation, sent it to Kayla and said, here you go, show this to your crew over there. Because there's a reason for that. I'm a person, you're all people. We want to make that connection. So LinkedIn is great for the alumni tool because what do you all have in common? Lakers, SUNY Oswego, represent. All right. So if I reach out to an alum and I am a senior and I reach out to an alum and I say, your job is so cool. I can see how many experiences you've had and you're the assistant vice president of such and such company. I would love to just have the opportunity to have an informational interview with you and just learn more about what you do. Well, suddenly you're having an informational interview with that person you have a conversation, you're like, yeah, I mean, how did you break into internships? It's been so hard for me to find an internship in your field. And all of a sudden you have this conversation with an alum that says, we should get you an internship here with my company. I'm the assistant vice president. We might as well do that. So essentially that's actually how I did my first internship. And it works. A lot of students don't like to think, like, what if they don't like me? Or what if I don't know what to say? Remember that our alum, more than anyone on this earth, we're in your shoes, okay? If you're reaching out to a PR alum, they oftentimes know exactly what that feels like. So utilize that LinkedIn alumni tool. If you haven't used it before, there are some great resources on how to utilize it. Essentially, it gets you in place with alumni that are your first, second, and third connections. And that kind of brings me to a bigger conversation, which if you haven't used your LinkedIn and you haven't really done everything you can with your page, make sure you are. We actually have different resources for students to be making that a more prominent page. The other ways you're able to find internships, it's going to sound silly, but I oftentimes work with students that are looking for internships that we might not have pipelined. And we will literally sit for an hour and do a Google search, canvas all of the internship or all the organizations, not even internships, organizations that they're interested in based on a certain industry area. And we will go through the different contacts. We will find the closest contact that we possibly can for all of those people. We'll check the LinkedIn alumni tool, see if we have any alumni that work at those organizations. We'll use an Excel spreadsheet to organize all of that information, make an actual strategic game plan. The more strategy you put into this, the easier it's going to be to actually solidify something. The thing that I think is the most commonly misunderstood thing about internships is that all of the internships out there have an internship posting you can apply to. It's just not the truth. I wish I could write that on my forehead half of the time and just walk across campus on a normal basis when there are students out and about, because it's just not the reality. I really want our students to understand that there are millions of ways, I'm sure, to make connections with people to get to that internship point. Applying to internships is important, and if they're the ones that are the paid internships that are more formulated like employment, there are many organizations that are very adamant about making sure that you are going through those formalized methods. That's okay too, but just try to remember, think about the type of organization that you're looking at. Think about the type of organization that you're applying to. Is it a big corporate organization, or is it a small mom and pop organization? All of those things have their own ways of getting in, okay? Use your faculty, yeah.
As PRSSA members, they also have access to the job board through PRSA that is every PR job and internship in the world.
Yeah. Yep. And it's kind of one of those things where you really want to make sure that you're exhausting all your resources, because if you're not using all of them, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Quite frankly, those organizational types of databases, in my eyes, are way better than places like Indeed. Because again, what is different about Indeed? Indeed is so saturated that it's becoming more and more difficult for students to find internships that way, or quality internships that way. So keep that in mind, because there are so many other ways that you can make genuine relationships and genuine connections to get you to those internships. It's just really important to think differently than the mainstream way a lot of times now, especially with people becoming so much more approachable in terms of how their professional media is kind of meshing with their personal media. There are a lot more ways of getting an in to make that connection. Be talking to your faculty too. I think faculty are a very underutilized resource when it comes to internships. A lot of students come to my office and the career services office and utilize a lot of their advisors. But if you have a relationship with a faculty, many of our faculty have worked in industry before becoming faculty, or work simultaneously in industry. So think about that as well, because having a conversation about your career and your career development doesn't just end all with one person. The more people you're talking to about it, the more, again, you're just widening that net and making it easier for more fish to go into it. All right. So this is I'll be brief with this. Can you get credit for the internship that you find? Think about different things with, like I was saying, the quality of the internships, paid versus unpaid internships. If you ever have questions about internships that you're applying to, I have many students email me. I get emails on a daily basis from students saying, hey, would this count for credit if I applied to this? Because they don't want to apply and take the time it takes. If that is their goal to get credit for an internship, they want to make sure it's going to count before they even apply. It's really important to be looking at different things like your departmental requirements, timing. Is it going to work if you want 12 credits for an internship? When does that work out for you? Is that going to work for a spring semester? Are you going to have to all take classes? What's the time commitment? Are you eligible to be earning credit through the Excel office? Labor standards. One of the things that I specialize in is labor standards surrounding internships. So New York State labor standards around internships, making sure that we can actually count your internship because it meets law standards surrounding internships. There are a lot of nuances that go into different topics. Another reason why it's really important, if you want to come all aboard the internship with me on Wednesdays this fall, I will be going a little bit more into each of the areas that come into play for academic accredited internships. So I want to give you guys time. I know we're towards the end of our session. I want to give you time to ask questions and talk to me a little bit about some of the things I've talked about here. I'm happy to go back to any slide. I know I've given you a lot of information. Another thing that I would love to go through, if any of you have situations that you've seen that you have been trying to get past in your internship search, we can talk about that. If you have concerns about some of the things you've been seeing, or you're just kind of frustrated and are stuck, we can talk about those things. Please feel free to open up with any question you might have at that time.
I'll start off the Q&A session.
Yeah.
This coming winter, I know it's getting pretty close. I'm looking to get an internship, and like I said, in the spring, I'm looking for like a 12 credit internship, which obviously would have to be local since I have a lease signed in the area. Do you think it's too late to get the ball rolling on like a winter internship?
Winter's possible. The thing with winter is we have for credit for internships. Are you looking for credit for winter, or are you looking just for the credit for spring?
Looking for the credit for spring more than anything. I'd be willing to take one in the winter, even like out of state or anything, just to get some more experience as I get closer.
The cool thing about fall and spring internships is that fall and spring internships are part of your full-time tuition. I've been seeing a lot of students, oddly, lately, that are in the situation where they're trying to finish earlier, and they have figured out financial aid so that it covers summer credits, or they figured out financial aid so that it covers, or they have different types of financial aid that will cover winter. So think about that. If you are trying to do winter, it's not too late. I will tell you it's less common to see winter internships just because less organizations plan for winter internships. The reason for that, first and foremost, is the holidays. A lot of organizations are just not generally willing to do winter internships because they range anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. A lot of orgs are they take that time around the holidays and they take advantage of small projects that they have to get done before the year is over, or they're just not willing to offer because they know that they're going to be on vacation for 3 weeks, or there are a lot of reasons that we see less of them. But if you are interested in winter internships, they are out there. Generally, many of the winter internships are unpaid. We have, if you are interested in earning credit for winter internships, we actually call them winternships because, again, we're cheesy. We can do them for 1 to 3 credits, and they range anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. So the Monday after finals through the Friday before spring classes. But yeah, we can definitely talk more about, I mean, we don't generally, I don't think I've seen a public relations or comms student do a winternship in at least the past 2 seasons. Generally, I'll see more students that have required internship. That's required for their degree completion, but we can definitely go over some of your options and kind of spitball a little bit and see what is out there for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's usually hard
I have a question.
over the winter time to do an internship, especially in PR, just because number one, everyone's always on vacation during that time, but it's also year end for everyone who's on a business calendar year. So it's hard to manage an intern and then also do all of your year-end reporting. So that's usually difficult. Usually the easier places to get internships in like a comm field, especially during winter, is in the media.
Yep.
So to do something like at the Pale Times or at a TV station or something, because they operate more regularly on a year-round schedule, that it's easier to get an internship there.
Perfect. Thanks.
So I have a question. Is it like, how do you get like international internships, like in December, like that are like 6 weeks long, and like whenever you get off like winter break, for Christmas break, I mean, like, how does that work?
So right now it's hard for international internships because everything that we're doing. So we work very closely with the School of International Education. They have something called the CAPA program. CAPA program is International Internship Study Abroad, and they are doing sessions this fall to help students learn more about their remote international internship opportunities. We are in the situation right now because of COVID that's limited a lot of our international ability. Are you saying that you had one in mind that you had questions about?
I was like, I'm a senior, so I'm graduating next semester. So like, I've been looking for a internship that can actually count as credit. So like, if it works like during next semester, where it actually like works around my schedule, which I'm kind of looking for right now. But I've seen like there's not many internships that are in like a radius of where I live, and a lot of them are like at least hours away from where I live, and I'm just trying to like, because I can't afford to get an apartment, and most jobs don't offer housing for the short period of time until you like find when you're doing an internship. So it's not really a permanent job. So.
And is it Mika or Micah?
Mika.
Your first name. Mika. Mika, one of the cool things too about a lot of our, consider this, if you are thinking less internationally and more on campus, a lot of our internships on campus right now across actually all of our departments right now, this past week, I just sent a notice to our on-campus departments. All of their internships have been moved to virtual, which means back home for you is A-okay. If you're back home during a certain time frame and you want to do an internship, that's a virtual internship with one of our on-campus departments and earn your credit.
Yeah, I work better like in person because like, I mean, I have ADHD, but like I do better like actually like in person and actually experiencing the actual job versus like if you're in virtually, you don't really know how to like, you don't know what the job's going to be like in person.
I get that. I
work better in person than at home. So.
Well, we can talk more too. Let's talk more and see if we can chat more about what's back home for you too, and see if we can come up with a listing of possible organizations that might be open to more in person.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you do when you run out of credits for internships? So
when you run out of COM 498, or when you run out of your 15 credits?
When you run out of the 15 credits.
Well, unfortunately, there's not much you can do, because that's just how SUNY Oswego as a whole. You can't earn more than 15 credits towards a degree that are practicum, internship, field experience related.
So do you see a lot of paid internships also requiring credit, or if it's paid,
No.
does it usually not require credit?
If it's paid, they don't require credit. The reason for that is if it's a paid internship, especially in New York State, paid internships are first and foremost employment. The school can also utilize them for credit. It's a common misconception that academic credit is compensation for an internship. It is not in any way, shape, or form. Academic credit, it used to be construed that way. In 2015, our state actually put some very, very specific limitations on for-profit employers being able to offer credit as compensation. It's really important to make sure that you understand the differences in those. If you're being paid for an internship and it's a for-profit company, they do have to pay you minimum wage at that organization if you're doing the work that would normally be done by an employee. For nonprofit organizations, they do have a little bit different jurisdiction in how they are able to manage unpaid internships. It depends on the site. But if you are doing a paid internship, I have never seen an organization require credit if it's a paid internship. If you find one, please let me know, because I would love to talk to them.
Okay.
I'm hoping you don't have one in mind, because I would be flabbergasted.
No, I don't, but I am starting. I'm only a junior, so I still have a full year and a half after the semester, and I'm looking for paid internships for next summer because I have reached my maximum 15 credits for internships. 'Cause I did one through the Kappa program when I was in Ireland for 3 credits. So that plus the 12 credit that I'm doing right now,
have Professor Stab connect you with Jennifer Snyder at SUNY CPD.
Okay.
Do they do paid intern down there?
Yeah, they have been.
Oh, okay.
At least for the past 2 cycles, they've been paid.
Who is that?
I know
Jennifer Snyder. Yeah. He's the one that connected. I would connect you, but he's literally the person that connected me with her in the first place.
I regularly talk with everyone in that office now.
And Kayla, paid PR internships are, yes, they're more rare to find, but if you have 15 credits worth of internship already, or is it like a mix of different things?
No, I have 15 credits worth of internship. So I'm taking the 12 credit tipping point right now, and I did a 3 credit in Ireland with a marketing firm there, and I got the business 498 for that.
Yeah. You have some pretty competitive experience. Have you met with anyone in career services lately?
No. I mean,
okay. You should.
I talked to Gary this afternoon, but that was about PRSSA.
Okay. have Gary take a look at your resume. Let him know that you're trying to do that, and Gary will help you polish that. Just because let him know specifically, like, you're not doing credit, you've done the max credits that you can do. Be like, Tina sent you away because you've done the max credits you can do. And help you polish that, so that just let them know you're competing for paid internships at this point. That is the scope for you, and you're really trying to stand out.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions for me? You'll think of them, I promise. It's okay. You can email me.
I'll go again.
The one thing I do. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Just really quick. I wanted to put this up for you. Continue to ask questions if you feel free. I just wanted to put these up for you in case you're not already following us. Contact Excel. You can also make appointments with us through Handshake. I generally love if students email me first if they want to make an appointment, just because it's easier for me to get a feel for what you might need time-wise from me and everything, and you're not just automatically pushed into a 30-minute time slot. I also have very specific time slots set for my Handshake appointments. So a lot of times students will need something outside of those. So feel free to email me. Facebook, a lot of times I'm pushing out internship postings right into Facebook. Will be probably pretty heavily in the next few weeks, because that's when they start to come open, and I'll be seeing the local ones coming around. And Oz Excel, if you're not already following our Insta, obviously we do a lot of internship testimonials. We'll be posting a lot of the internships that are coming open, that type of thing. John, I think did you
I
say you
just
had a
have one
question?
more thing to say.
Yep.
So when I mentioned about international, do you know, like, because I know things with COVID are kind of like messed up right now, but like I'm like half British, so I'm kind of like, I've always like had like a passion for going abroad, and I've only, with COVID going around, I was actually supposed to be in Italy like this past summer, and that got canceled, so I kind of got like upset about it, but like if there's like an internship like in London, like that had credits toward that towards like public relations, I'd be flabbergasted excited.
Yeah, I mean, talk to Kappa.
So
I would highly recommend talking to them to see what programs they have in place
okay.
already. Just because we aren't, generally, if we do anything international, we have like agreements in place. There are a number of things that we have in place in order for students to be doing those types of things. Talk to them to find out exactly what the scope of their international program is right now. Because again, I won't speak on behalf of their program just because it's not my area with the international. And there are a lot of nuances because of COVID right now. But that would be my first place to send you in terms of just generating conversation.
Tina, I can tell you for the remainder of this academic year, there is no travel whatsoever that is sponsored by a SUNY system anywhere. All of Kappa's experiences right now are completely virtual. Nobody's allowed to travel anywhere. So
I can understand that.
That'll be at least until August, as of right now, of next year, August of next year.
Okay, I hate to cut everyone off, but we are past time. If you have any more questions for Tina, her email's right there. She already told you how you can contact her, schedule a meeting. Tina, thank you so much for hosting and for giving us this amazing, how-to on internships. I think it really ran through everything that we can take advantage of on campus and all the options that we have as PR majors. So I really appreciate that. I think that's all we have for this week. I will follow up with an email, just, some action items that came out of today. And I'll make sure that all the students and our member list get your contact information to reach out.
Very nice. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.